You're tuning in to DNA Nightmares. Some secrets should stay buried, but today they are coming out. Before we reveal the results, please hit the like button and subscribe for good karma. You won't believe this twist. When I was switched at birth, the truth that destroyed two families. Part 1. I'm still shaking as I write this. My entire life has been a lie, and I discovered the truth just 3 days ago. I'm 23 years old, and I just found out I was switched at birth with another baby girl at the hospital. It all started when I needed a blood type test for my upcoming surgery. The results came back strange. My blood type didn't match either of my parents. The doctor suggested we do a DNA test, probably thinking my mom had an affair or something. But the truth was far worse than anyone could have imagined. The DNA results showed I wasn't related to either of my parents. At all. Zero genetic match. My mom broke down crying, and my dad just sat there, completely pale and silent. The hospital where I was born launched an investigation, and that's when everything came crashing down. There was another girl born on the same day, just hours apart from me. The nurses somehow mixed up our ID bracelets during a shift change. She got sent home with my biological parents, and I went home with hers. For 23 years, we lived each other's lives without knowing. The worst part? She lives just 30 minutes from me. We even went to the same high school for a year before her family moved to a different district. I might have passed by my biological parents at the grocery store, sat next to my real sister at the movies, or stood behind my actual mother in line at Starbucks, and never knew. I found her on social media. Her name is Rachel, and she looks exactly like my mom, my real mom. The woman who I've been calling mom for 23 years is actually Rachel's biological mother. Just typing this makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. Both families are devastated. My parents, the ones who raised me, are terrified I'm going to leave them. Rachel's parents, my biological ones, have been crying nonstop and keep trying to contact me. Rachel herself hasn't responded to any of my messages yet. How do you even process something like this? The woman who taught me to ride a bike, who held me when I cried over my first breakup, who made me chicken soup when I was sick. She's not my mother. And somewhere out there is a woman who gave birth to me, who probably cried herself to sleep wondering why her baby didn't have her eyes or her smile. I'm angry at the hospital. I'm angry at the universe. I'm angry that this mistake robbed two families of their children's lives. But most of all, I'm terrified about what happens next. Do I meet my biological family? Do I pretend this never happened? How do I look at my parents, the ones who raised me, without seeing the shadow of this truth between us? This is just the beginning of this nightmare, and I have no idea how any of us are going to get through it. To be continued in Part 2. When I was switched at birth, the truth that destroyed two families. Part 2. It's been a week since my last post, and everything has spiraled even further out of control. Rachel finally responded to my messages, and we met at a small coffee shop halfway between our homes. I can't even describe how surreal it felt to sit across from someone who should have had my life. She looks exactly like my biological mother. They have the same curly brown hair and green eyes. Meanwhile, I'm a spitting image of her mom, the woman who raised me, with straight blonde hair and blue eyes. We sat there for hours, just staring at each other, trying to process the absolute insanity of our situation. The most messed up part was we actually had mutual friends in high school. There was even a party we both attended in junior year. There are pictures of us standing in the same group, completely unaware that we literally were born to be in each other's places. Rachel broke down crying when she showed me those photos on her phone. Our parents want to meet. All of them. Together. The thought makes me want to throw up. Rachel's mom, my biological mom keeps sending me childhood photos of Rachel, pointing out how similar she looks to her family, while I look just like mine, except they're not mine. Every photo feels like a knife in my chest. The hospital offered both families a settlement, but how do you put a price tag on 23 years of living the wrong life? They want us to sign NDAs, but Rachel and I refused. This isn't something that should be swept under the rug. The hardest part is seeing how this is destroying my parents, the ones who raised me. My mom can't barely look at me without crying. My dad keeps saying over and over that I'm still my daughter, as if he's trying to convince himself more than me. They're terrified I'm going to leave them for my real family. But how can I explain that both families feel real and fake at the same time? Rachel told me she's having the same struggles. Her parents, my biological ones, are desperately trying to form a relationship with me, sending me messages about how they've missed so much of my life. But I don't know these people. They're strangers who happen to share my DNA. We've agreed to try family therapy, all 8 of us, together. The therapist specializes in adoption trauma, which is the closest thing they could find to our situation, because apparently baby switches are so rare that there isn't even a specific type of therapy for it. I keep having these moments where I forget this is real. I'll be going about my day and then suddenly remember that my entire identity is based on a nurse's mistake 23 years ago. Rachel said she feels the same way. Tomorrow, we're all meeting for the first time. 2 sets of parents, 2 switched daughters, and 2 decades of lost time. I don't know if this will heal us or break us completely. All I know is that nothing will ever be the same again. When I was switched at birth, the truth that destroyed 2 families. Part 3. The meeting happened yesterday. I don't even know where to begin describing the emotional hurricane that took place in that therapist's office. 4 parents, 2 daughters, and enough tears to fill an ocean. The moment my biological mother saw me, she collapsed, just completely broke down. She kept touching my face, looking for features she recognized from her family. My biological father stood frozen, his hands shaking as he held old baby pictures of Rachel, comparing them to my face. It was like watching someone try to solve a puzzle that had been scrambled for 23 years. Rachel's reaction to her biological parents, my parents who raised me, was different. She was angry, really angry. She started screaming about all the times she felt like she didn't belong, how she never understood why she was so different from her family. Turns out she's athletic like my dad, musical like my mom, talents that her raised family never shared. My mom, who raised me, pulled out my baby book. She started apologizing to my biological mother for having all my firsts. My first steps, first words, first day at school. My biological mom responded by pulling out Rachel's baby book, and they just sat there, trading stories about children they should have raised. The dads handled it differently. They stepped outside together at one point, and when they came back, both had clearly been crying. My biological father told me about how he used to coach Little League, and how Rachel was always terrible at sports, while I played varsity softball in high school. Just another piece of DNA that ended up in the wrong place. The therapist tried to keep things structured, but how do you structure something like this? How do you mediate between 2 families whose lives were accidentally merged in the wrong way? There's no handbook for this situation. We made some hard truths. Both sets of parents had moments where they questioned if something was wrong. My biological mom even asked the hospital staff right after birth if they were sure they had the right baby, because I didn't look like either of them. They assured her it was normal, that babies don't always look like their parents right away. Rachel and I sat there, watching our parents fall apart, and something strange happened. We found ourselves comforting them. two daughters trying to hold together four parents who don't know if they're gaining or losing a child. We made some decisions. We're going to try family dinners. All of us, together, once a month. Rachel and I will spend time with both families, separately and together. The therapist says we need to build new connections without erasing the old ones. But the reality is, we're all just stumbling through this darkness together. There's no blueprint for rebuilding two families that were accidentally merged in the wrong way. All we can do is try to find a way forward that doesn't destroy what we already have while making space for what we lost.